Hi, it's Corrine. Thanks so much for joining. Today I'm making a super cute birthday card. I actually have 3 different cards to share with you today, and I am only making one of them on screen because they were made in the same way. I'm using Concord and Ninth's Happy Headlines stamp and dies. This is a super cute stamp set. It came out quite a while ago, but I've had it in my stash for a little bit, wanting to make it for my husband's birthday card. And then shortly after my husband's birthday, my brother-in-law's birthday, and then my sister's birthday came up. So I decided to use the same stamp set for all 3. I also added in the Altenew Time to Celebrate. They have little presents in them, so I use that small present on the card that I'm making here on screen. Here's the stamp set. Now when I pulled it out to use it, again, I've had it in my stash a while. I purposely had purchased it for my husband's birthday card, knowing I would probably use this stamp set over and over. First, let me just go through what I used. I used some Spellbinders Classic Squares dies. I also used the Say It With Stamps by Photoplay, the Happy Birthday stamp. I used a couple of these sub-sentiments as well. I love that stamp set. And then I also pulled out a Spellbinders rectangle die and lots of Concord and Ninth cardstock. So here's my scraps of the colors that I chose to use. I, of course, dig through my scraps before cutting out a piece of a full sheet of cardstock. So I have everything prepped. I have a piece of Hammermill 80-pound cardstock, and I had to work a little bit in reverse order. This is what I started to say before. When I pulled out the stamp set to stamp it, it had a defect in it, which I'm showing you here. And I contacted Concord and Ninth, sent them some photos, and they did replace the stamp set for me, but I was waiting on that to finish the card. And I ended up not getting that stamp set until the day before my husband's, the day before my husband's birthday. So I made all the little die cuts. Like here I put together that little present. That's the Altenew die set. And it comes with 2 pieces. I used a piece of watermelon cardstock, but the top layering piece, I went ahead and ink blended with a small ink blending brush to give it a little bit darker so you could see that dimension. And everything I'm showing you here, the little cupcake, the party hat, the sun, and the word yay, which I'll do here on screen in just a moment, I did double the cardstock. I wanted I wanted you to be able to feel the thickness on it. So I'm just using my reverse tweezers, a fine tip glue bottle with some barely art glue in it. I am gluing those together and sticking them under a strong magnet to kind of hold them in place while they have a chance to dry. So I decided to make this a shaker. I pulled out some cute little iridescent stars. I used that Spellbinders square die, cut out a piece of transparency paper and a piece of Harbor Blue cardstock, and I finally got the stamp. I went ahead and stamped it down in my MISTI using some Gina K amalgam ink, and I just did a real quick stamp job because I just needed to be able to see that square in order to line up my square die. I will then put this back into my MISTI and stamp it with some VersaFine Onyx black ink to give it a real dark impression. So here I was able to line up that die, run it through my die cut machine, and that gives me the perfect little square, leaving that outline border. That's why I chose the size that I did. I wanted to leave that black outline border around the shaker window. So now that I have that in place, I'm going to stamp this down. I was hoping to make this card by stamping this and just letting that sit overnight while I did the rest, but I was in a little bit of a rush being that I didn't get the replacement stamp until the day before. So off screen, I did take my heat gun to that to try and dry that VersaFine ink. So now I'm just stamping one of the sentiments from that same collection. I'm using some Lakefront ink by Concord and Ninth. And then I also used, I believe it was Buttercup and Watermelon for these sub-sentiments. I just wanted the card to look full. Cleaning those off and putting them right back onto my stamp packet. So now I did pull out a piece of copy paper to work on just in case any of that ink was a little bit wet. I didn't want to have to clean it off my craft mat. I figured a piece of copy paper would be great. And I'm using some strong double-sided adhesive to put on my transfer paper, or my transparency rather, paper over it. I did clean it off just because I wanted to make sure there was no dust or fibers on it. And now I'm going to run this entire thing through using a rectangle Spellbinders die, and the finished card size with my black card base is a 5x7. So here's my card base. I'm going to score it. This is the lazy way of doing it. I just scored it at the 5 inches and then took it over to my trimmer and trimmed it down. Now, I'm just kind of holding that harbor piece of paper with some glue on it in place, and that way, and setting it onto my card base, that way it lines up that blue paper behind it perfectly. So once I did that, I'm going around and adding some 3D foam tape to the entire back of the card. That way it'll lift it up enough for my shaker pieces. And even though that blue little piece of square paper is a little crooked, it looks perfect with the card on it. So I'm taping my card down with some very lightweight tape, adding a little glue to my foam tape, a Kathy Zilski tip on that, which works well, and taping that down. The lightweight tape just kind of held my card base in place so it didn't move when I was trying to glue the card front on. So now I'm just adding all my pieces. The shaker on this turned out super cute, and I love this Stampin' die. I love the little party hat. The present from Altenew went perfect with it, and it was a die that I had not used, so I wanted to get some use out of it. And for the inside of the card, I did add some more Concord and Ninth cardstock. I wanted cardstock on the front and the back, just so it looked, when you open the inside of the card, I wanted it to look cohesive. So I believe I added a piece of honeycomb on the inside, and I did stamp that happy birthday, the photo play. And here I added some grasshopper ink. It had just a little bit of a bare space at the bottom, so I added another sub-sentiment that I had, 2 actually. And I used watermelon as well. So here's the cardstock that I used on the inside. I went ahead and stamped happy birthday with also a sub-sentiment along the bottom of that. Again, this is for the inside of my card. I like to finish the inside of my cards as well. I stamped that several times. And now I'm going through and adding the little confetti pieces, the little die cut pieces that come in the set. Just using my jewel picker, the wax tip, that makes it much easier with these small pieces. And here's the finished card. I'll shut off the light here to hopefully show you the shaker bits in it. It turned out so cute. I had a lot of fun making this card, so that's why I went ahead and made 2 more of them. I also like to make my own envelope, so I just make if it's a dimensional card, I'll just make a little bit larger card. This one I just made an envelope for a 5x7. I used matching black cardstock, being that that was the card base. And I stamped that a few times, giving it a little bit of a gradient look, and added "It's Your Special Day." So this card I made for my sister using a completely different color palette. I used Pebble cardstock for the base. That's that light gray. I used Honeysuckle for that pink, and then coordinating colors. I used some ballet slippers and Buttercup for the yellow, and I thought that turned out super cute. And on all three of these cards, I did give them all a little bit of dimension. I did double the cardstock on all the little die cuts there. And for this card base itself, I put a piece of black chipboard under the main layering piece just to give it a little bit of height. And I stamped on the back and embossed in white with saying handmade by Corinne Posnick. Here I tripled those die cuts. I wanted a little heft to it, and I used a bow die cut that I had in my stash. And then these are by Kathy Zilski, I believe. Cute little sentiments to add to the inside. And then that heart die cut, I used it comes with an outline and the inside. I used both, popped the inside up on two different pieces of cardstock, again to give it a little bit of dimension. And I was really happy with how this birthday card turned out. I think my sister will love it. I also made a matching envelope, again using the We Are Makers envelope punch board. It literally takes me maybe 2 minutes to make an envelope, and I added a little address label on the front and back for the envelope to send it in. Here's a quick showing of my card for my brother-in-law. Again, same thing. I used some, this is not Concord and Ninth, the background paper. It's a light green. It was really pretty. Added a Catherine Pooler stamp set. And that is a Avery L stamp set that says Happy Birthday. Again, using lots of bright colors. Really fun to make. So I hope you've enjoyed today's process. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Have a great day.